Welcome back to another episode of the Playbook here on the Boise Beat. Today I got two very special guests with me, starting off with my brother, Big Rick.
What's up, Alan? How you doing?
Good, bro, good. And then we also got our other guest, Hondo Rondo.
Hey, free my man Tatum, please. Free him, please. Get him out of Paris right now. The
All
disrespect
right,
for NBA champions.
yeah, let's just start off with it. Hondo, we'll let you start off then, because you can break the news about what's going on with Tatum there in Paris.
Well, he's just getting disrespected, you know. He's just out. Comes off of an All NBA season. Comes off of leading his team in points, rebounds, assists throughout the playoffs. Comes off winning a championship. Gets invited to sit the bench. It's just
Mm,
ridiculous. I mean, you watch these games and you think, hey, maybe we need some defense out there. Maybe we need someone
yeah.
that can do a little bit of everything, you know. And there's one guy that comes to mind. I don't know. He's like 6'9", 6'10". Jason Tatum. You know, he can come out here and do anything. I'm not saying play him 20, 25 minutes, but if you got LeBron that needs a break, KD that needs a break,
Mhm.
give him a chance. Give him a chance. He's got the capability of helping the team, and I think Kerr's mad that we beat him by 50 points, and I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is, honestly, because I don't see why you don't give him a chance to play and prove himself. I was talking to buddies about it earlier, and they even said, "Well, we really haven't seen Tatum do much, so how can you play him?" At the same time, it's like, well, if he's not playing, how are you going to know that he can't play?
Yeah.
Like just give him a chance and let him play. I don't know. It's a little
Well,
disheartening to say the least.
Well, it is, and this is was supposed to be the summer of Tatum. Everybody's predicting with the Celtics having a chance to win the finals. Everyone thought he was going to be Finals MVP, but he's supposed to go to the Olympics, win gold. Everyone thought he'd be one of the big stars on this team, and now this is the second game he sat, and that's all everyone can talk about. Which this is kind of big news because this USA team, no, no stranger to controversy this summer, as Jalen Brown also got left off the team, a Finals MVP, and I understand the fact that they want more guys that are going to move the ball and do all the little things like Drew Holiday and Derek White. They're perfect for that. Great role players on a team with so many stars already. But it's kind of odd to look at two other Celtics guys when three Celtics guys on the roster when one of them won Finals MVP and he's not on the roster.
Oh,
Big
he's
Rick.
also an All NBA player as well.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. Big Rick, what
Well,
do you think about that?
I think from looking at it from a ex-professional basketball player's perspective, the one thing
Mm-hmm.
you have to keep in mind is at every level you got two things. Number one, you got politics, and number two, you still got that seniority going on. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, Jason Tatum has a lot more Olympics in him than someone like LeBron James, Anthony Davis. Even Embiid might not have very more in him. It just depends. But Steph's getting older, so I wouldn't
Yeah.
look at it as he's being disrespected. I would look at it as you got to overcome the other guys, the older guys who've been there. I mean, we've both been in positions, whether it be in a company we work for or, just in life in general, where someone gets an opportunity that you or Hondo or someone else may be more qualified for, but they got more years with the company. So it
Yeah.
becomes a seniority thing as opposed to the legitimacy of what you bring into the table. And in this situation, I did see him get some minutes, and I think when you look at it, to me, he doesn't look like the Jason Tatum that played Celtics in this championship run that they had. He kind of, to me, doesn't seem like he's operating at 100%. I don't know if he's just, he could be tight from sitting, maybe he's
Probably.
his mentality is not really there when it comes to getting on the floor because he may not be able to accept the fact that he's like, you know what, I could go out there and I can drop 30, I could do this, I could do that, you know. But the other side of that coin is, like you alluded to. I mean, hey, if I was Steve Kerr, I'd be running the legs off of him because next year when it come into the season, he gonna have to sit for the first 20 or 30 games to recover from the Olympic run if I give him all the burn he wants.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So there's other things that we may not know about. He could be nursing something. He could have tweaked something in practice. We just don't know, because I know when I watched him, the way he was handling the ball looked good, but his explosiveness to the basket was lacking. So I don't know if
Mhm.
he's trying to get his legs still or what. I'm not sure, but I think there's something else other than him not just getting clocked.
Yeah, I think he's looking a little timid out there. I think he's trying not to step on anybody's toes. This roster is so talented
You know,
that nobody wants to be shooting the rock too much. You know what I mean? That's what it takes for great teams to gel. And I think he's not trying to do too much of that and step on people's toes, especially with the limited minutes. He doesn't want to just go out there throwing shots up. But some of the things you said reminded me of a quote, and also another political thing in the past with Team USA. It reminded me of when Isaiah Thomas was
yes,
not selected,
I was gonna say that.
and
But
you have
why
that
wasn't he
famous,
select? But why
yeah,
wasn't he selected? You know what I'm
because
saying? It
that
was like,
issue with
it,
Jordan, yeah,
right. So I mean,
and
MJ said, "Hey, I don't. If he's gonna be on the team, I don't want to be on the team. I'm not gonna play."
yeah,
So
yeah,
you got the ambassador of the league. Now the other thing is, let's bring that forward. Who's the ambassador of the league right now?
LeBron,
Exactly. So LeBron, if the brother got enough pull to get his
yeah,
son drafted so he could play with his son, so he could have some kind of record, the brother got some
yeah,
juice, man. Forget what,
and,
let's be real. He got some
yeah,
pull. And unfortunately, in this point in the game, he has more championships than Jason Tatum, too. So
yeah,
he's got, is it fair? No. But
I mean,
it,
I
it
wouldn't
is what
even
it is.
say like. Sorry to interrupt you. I mean, I
No,
wouldn't
no,
even
you good,
say
bro.
like need you to. I don't. I wouldn't say like have Tatum play over KD, LeBron, and Curry. Because I mean, I think we saw today. I don't know if you guys watched the game. Outside
Mhm.
of Joel Embiid
Curry,
saving the day, those three really carried the team at the end of the game. They go down 17 to Serbia, and you think, oh my gosh, the Avengers are about to lose to Thanos,
Huh.
and
yeah,
they
Yeah,
turned it
I know.
around. They turned it around, and but I mean, guys like Booker,
Hmm.
sure, Anthony, or not Anthony Davis, Ant
Edwards.
Edwards is
Yeah.
good, but it's
mhm,
like what when they start struggling, you can't sit here and say, let me just keep running it to them.
Hmm.
They're struggling. Oh
yeah,
well, they'll figure it out. No, let's
Right.
get some new guys in there. Maybe they'll help turn it
mhm,
around. And then later down the road, go back to your rotations. I mean, I even
Yeah.
saw Draymond Green tweet about it. He said sometimes you got to scrap those rotations.
Yes.
yeah,
And that's
Yes.
Kerr's own player.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
So it's
Well, I
Draymond's
was
not
looking.
scared to talk on anybody, including his head
no,
coach,
Hey,
man.
listen, man. Draymond, you know what? To me, Draymond is like a Dennis Rodman and a Charles Barkley combined. Whatever comes up here is
Mhm,
going to come out of his mouth.
yeah,
And
yeah,
unfortunately, yet fortunately, what he spoke is truthful, because I watched a lot of different games. I watched the highlights. How many different times, even throughout when they were getting up to the point of competing in the Olympics, did Steve Kerr switch up the lineup? How many times did
mhm,
he switch up the lineups? But even when he switched up the lineup, who was the two people that never came out? Two or three that didn't come out.
those
You know
big
what I mean?
yeah,
dogs, KD,
Yeah,
LeBron, Curry.
right.
yeah,
And so when you got those three, now, if it were me, if I was the coach, I would keep LeBron and KD fresher, because I would switch them in and out. I would switch
mhm,
them out to keep them fresher, because I mean, KD came in and showed, like, he said, "Look, I'm gonna announce to the world, this is how it goes. You ain't got
yeah,
nobody on the planet that can stop me. The only person that got a shot playing next to me in
mhm,
LeBron." But LeBron's game is more physical right now. He's muscling them. He's going to the
mhm,
hole. He's finishing. Steph is pulling the tray. But I still say this: I wouldn't be hesitant to come off the bench, and I would go, "Look, LeBron, I'm gonna bring you off. I'm gonna bring KD off. I'm gonna start
mhm,
Anthony Edwards. I'm gonna start Jason Tatum. And
yeah,
here's why: because between Anthony Edwards and Jason Tatum, you have a combination of Steph Curry, LeBron James, and KD. because Anthony Edwards can do it all and Jason Tatum can do it all. So it's
Yeah.
very difficult for you to find a matchup on the other end of the floor for them. So you're gonna get that money, but now why not come off the bench with KD and LeBron and let them get the feel and the flow of the game instead of letting them be the ones to carry the team? If it
Yeah.
were me, I would use my young horses because they're hungry. I mean,
Mhm.
if I don't know if you guys noticed it or not, but ever since Anthony Edwards said that message in the newspaper about him being the go-to guy on the team, what happened to his numbers? His minutes went like this.
Yeah.
Yep.
He barely said they're like, oh, okay, that's how it is. Hey, Steve, check this out. He's not playing no more.
Halliburton's just
And
Yep.
he's just happy to be there.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
Halliburton's
saying?
been all smiles, but he hasn't even got to see the core. That poor guy. He was an MVP candidate throughout most of last year.
Man,
Yeah.
You know?
if I was playing right now, I wouldn't care if I touched the floor either. I'm getting a gold medal
Yeah.
just like they are. It don't
Yeah.
matter. Because what I'm thinking about is this. If LeBron get hurt, if KD get hurt, if Steph get hurt, what happened to their chances when they come back to the States and they're playing in the league? What
Yeah.
happened? It drops off drastically. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's like that's a huge risk factor because as physical as the game is, it's a different game in Europe. You know, you got that
Mhm.
extra step, you get
Mhm.
that extra bump. You see, it's a lot more physical. They let them push, they let them grab, they let them play. It's a lot of things that LeBron's not used to that, man. LeBron's used
Yeah.
to if you sneeze on him, that's a foul.
Yeah, Embiid
You
too.
know?
You see him trying to
Yeah,
draw fouls left and
Oh
right.
yeah,
Embiid's not getting
Embiid.
no whistle. Oh, it's so nice to
right,
see.
So
right.
here's a question I got for you guys that I've been seeing floating around the Twitterverse or the Xverse. Does Jason Tatum accept the invite to go back in 2028 after what he's been
I,
through this
I
year?
think I think yes, because as Rick mentioned earlier, all these guys like LeBron, Curry, and KD probably won't be back. So Tatum will probably be one of the focal points of that team. So I think yeah, you got to if you're him, because you have a chance to be the face of the team USA come that time, especially him hitting his prime around that time. Yeah, I think
Well,
there's no doubt about it. He'll be back. And Jaylen Brown maybe too.
well, I look at it this way, man. With the team that you guys have in Boston, he could be coming back to that Olympics as a five-time world champion. He could
That
be going back to that. Because, I mean, honestly, look, y'all beat the closest team that could possibly stay close to y'all by 50 points.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And last time I checked, y'all haven't sent anybody packing. So y'all got everybody coming back.
Yeah.
And
So,
you
I
know
mean,
what's funny about it is people say, "Oh, the Sixers have had the greatest summer," or Milwaukee,
Yeah.
these teams. It's like, why aren't we saying Boston? You know, they literally kept everyone
It's
intact.
insane. It's
well, but they can
insane to
say,
pay all those guys and
listen,
make it work.
let me tell you something. Everybody else is chasing what Boston already had.
Oh
They
yeah,
had the
Yep.
greatest summer because they spent the most money. I think if I'm the owner in Boston, I had the greatest summer because I ain't got to spend no money to bring
Yeah.
anybody in. All I got to
Yeah.
do is wet my players beat and keep everybody happy. All I need to do is figure out how to keep each person happy so they keep the main focus intact, which
Mhm.
is look, do you want a championship or do you want to go somewhere and get more money? Because you can get
Yep.
your paper, you can get your endorsements, and as long as you got that gold trophy, you're gonna make a lot of paper away from the
yeah.
game. So
Yep.
what would you rather have if it was you? If they said, look, um, Hondo, check it out, man. You're up for a new deal. So what we're gonna do? I know you want hypothetically 10 million a year, and you want to get it for 4 years. So you want 40 million over that. So what if we take you to 6 years or 5 years, right? And we give you 9 million.
Yeah. I
You know
mean,
what I'm saying? So
and
you
then
know,
with the opportunities, you know,
yes,
I think hearing it in the stories in Boston too, just a lot of players had opportunities to go elsewhere for
mm-hmm,
more money. But I
mm-hmm,
think
Hmm.
after coming off this championship and being through so much with each other, you know, I think like Derek White took a huge pay cut, Drew Holiday, Sam Hauser, you know, Al Horford. I mean, granted he's old, but still, they all took pay cuts to stay in Boston, you know, because they know what
man,
they have.
Hondo,
Yeah.
check it out, man. They took a pay cut in the contract, but I guarantee you that money was made up in clauses to where by the time they won that championship, they had made that double. what
Yeah.
they took in a pay cut, because they can put that back in incentive. Somebody like Alfred, right? He's getting older. We say, look, if you play 2 minutes in each game that we play all the way to the finals, you get, say he took a $10 million pay cut, you get $15 million. He made $5 million. And all it cost him was 2 minutes a game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He could go in and be like, coach, all I need is 2 minutes. And the coaches know. They know how to help people get their paper. So, I mean, there's other ways. They might say, look, you're going to take a pay cut. Cool, we're going to restructure your deal. Restructure means they're just going to change the salary number that people see. But you're going to get that back in that fine print that's in that contract. For example, you make the playoff roster. He could have an incentive in there that he make the playoff roster. He get an extra 20 mil. That's hypothetical. Yeah. But that's something that could be there. Now with Boston, here's my thing. When you have a team like they have in Boston, and they're young, that's what's scary. When they're
not even in their prime.
Right. When you got the nucleus of your team are all still very young.
Yeah.
But they're intelligent enough to understand what the end goal is. If Jason Tatum can be, by the time he hits 30, how old is he?
26.
Right. So by the time he hit 30, he could have 5 championships, right? You know how much money that brother done made off endorsements? Every time I turn on the computer, I got a rehydration coming up on the screen. So he getting paid. He getting paid. You turn on the TV and you're searching for Netflix or whatever. He up in the corner with a stay hydrated. He ain't saying nothing. You're not seeing the brother, man. They got him looking like GQ. He all cut up and everything, got some ice in his ears. He's not saying a word. How much money you think he's making off of that?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No,
they're getting their paper. Now, the only person that could throw a monkey wrench in y'all program is Jaylen Brown. He's the only one. Now, but granted, I don't think him being left off the Olympic team, I don't think has anything to do with him as a player or him versus anybody else. His issue is with Nike.
Yep.
He calls Nike out. And let me tell you something. That little black bald guy that stays down in Florida, Midnight Jordan, they call him Michael. He got a lot to say, because think about it. Michael Jordan made a comment once. He said, only superstars wear my shoes. So if he got enough pull that the WNBA, the NBA, colleges are rocking all his gear, jerseys, and everything, that man got enough power to call Steve Kerr and say, you remember I punched you in your face, right? Jaylen Brown don't make this team. Jaylen Brown don't make this team.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm saying that in a joking way. Forgive me, Mike, if you ever see this, no disrespect intended. But that's just, in my opinion, that's just the persona that Michael has. Mike is like no nonsense. He's a competitor in every way. So there are players that are on that team that I won't say they're handpicked by him, but he had a say so in it. And there's players that's not on that team. He probably had a say so in that.
Yeah, and I mean, Jaylen Brown's come out in the past with public comments about Nike having sweatshops and stuff, and them not caring about ethics and whatnot. Been very public about it, and that's why he never signed with Nike. And I mean, it's no surprise that Kyrie's not on the team either. And as talented as Kyrie is at the final stage, everybody got to see it, and he's not on the team because of how outspoken he is with Nike and how they dropped him. So it's definitely a political thing.
If he's on there, do you keep Steph?
Yeah, I think you got to take both.
I think they drop.
You can't. If he's on that team, Steph don't make that team.
I think you drop someone younger. Yeah,
let me tell you something. Here's the problem. You could smart minds say, yes, we drop, Booker, or we drop somebody, the young player that's not getting much clock, we drop him. But when it comes to getting on the court, that's what the problem is.
Yeah.
Stephon has the ball in his hands where Kyrie would have the ball. And Kyrie is electric. He's probably arguably one of the greatest basketball handlers to ever play in the NBA. I have to give him props. The brother's good. Now, with him and Jaylen and there are issues with Nike and how things operate. The only thing I can say to them is, man, I can't fault Nike or any other company that gets their shoes made abroad and they're taking advantage of a good deal. Now, what they can do as professionals, they can say, look, this is what we would have to pay if we got them made in America. So we're going to be good to you guys and pay you, what we would pay there. They could do that. But what would the price of an pair of Air Jordans be over here if they did that? Right now, they're $200. So if it's $200 right now, you'd be paying. It'd be like a pair of Air Yeezys, man. You got $5,000 coming out your pocket.
Yeah,
that's real talk. So I mean, I feel bad.
Well, so here's another thing. Then going back to the NBA, do the Celtics, after all the Sixers moves, after all I don't know if Milwaukee really has done anything. Miami's gonna be there because I guess Jimmy's there, whatever. I'm still over it, But do we see the Celtics running through the East like they did this past year again? Do we see another opponent come out of the West?
I personally, I think as far as the East goes, I think the biggest thing with the Bucks is they weren't healthy when it mattered. And I mean, granted, we saw a lot of time where they had chances to figure it out. But another year with Lillard and Giannis healthy, who knows how they mesh, what they might add in the middle of the season too. And Miami, they're always another superstar away from being contenders just because the culture they got. But so I think those teams will be a lot stronger. The Knicks will be a lot stronger. The Sixers, I'm not worried about. The whole Paul
Villanova
George,
Knicks.
Yeah, the Paul George thing is overrated everywhere he goes. But I think the West, I mean, Nuggets, no matter what, I think are going to be contenders. And I think they match
even
up best
after
with
losing
Celtics.
a couple of pieces. I can't remember who they lost, but
Caldwell Pope.
KCP, they lost KCP.
Yeah,
they still got Murray. He didn't look good in these Olympics, though. I could tell you that much.
But I think the way they match up, though, if they make it to the finals, I think they match up better with the Celtics than anybody.
I guess the Pacers too. The Pacers, I'm not gonna lie, that Eastern Conference Finals against the Pacers, even though it was a sweep, that was probably the best series I watched all year as far as the East. But
what I was gonna say is, if anyone, in my opinion, has the ability, let me say it this way: I don't think anyone in the East or the West can dominate Boston with the weapons you have right now. But I think that in the East, Indiana has the best chance of pushing them to the brink. And by saying that, it would depend on where they finish at before the playoffs start.
Yeah.
So if they catch Boston second round after a tough first round Miami battle, they could I think they could sneak in and probably push them to the limit. I don't think they would have the weapons to finish it off as long as Jalen's healthy and Jason's healthy.
Yeah. And that could affect them going to the next round, being worn out from the Pacers. That could affect them in the third round,
Right. I mean, and that's what I mean. It depends on where they would catch them at.
Yeah.
Now, when you go ahead. Oh, I was gonna say biggest thing too is KP.
Yeah,
I mean, we saw what he did in Game 1 when he came back. I mean, he was just phenomenal. Changed the whole dynamic of the team. But yeah,
are you going to be able to keep him healthy, man?
Yeah.
Because
I mean, that's
like when I saw his injury to his knee, it was on a free throw where he was getting boxed out, and it was a freak to me because it was perfect timing for him to step down and for somebody to hit his knee. So then you get all that weight pretty much going on that tendon or that ligament, and it detaches. So I mean, that's a freak accident. But him being healthy, y'all walk right through everybody. Because I mean, that dude right there remind me of a skinny Dirk Nowitzki.
Yeah,
skinny version of Dirk Nowitzki, man. That's exactly, because I mean, it's like, name one 7-footer that can run the floor and play him as a trailman.
I mean, hey, San Antonio good.
Yeah.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that, but here's the problem. That young man is very gifted and very talented, but he's too slow to guard KP. He can't guard KP because here's the thing. if KP pump fake and get one step on him, KP gonna dunk on him, man. He gonna foul him trying to block it. And he only get one or two of those, and he's sitting.
Yeah.
KP's still playing. So if he's sitting on the bench, who's gonna guard KP now?
Yeah.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Anybody else, he gonna throw it to me now here. I'm just gonna turn around and shoot right up. My bad.
Yeah.
No disrespect. Coach, you better get somebody out because I'm killing this guy. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna turn into a Larry Bird on me. But
Yeah.
I in the West, man, in my opinion, see, like the big center for Denver is probably the toughest task for KP.
Because KP's not big enough for him. He's too strong.
Right, in a 7-game series, that's going to be hard for KP because number one, he'll wear him down physically, and KP is not as disciplined at times when he needs to be to move his feet, where he relies on his length, and that gets him in trouble because he get caught reaching a lot. You can't do that with the big guy. The big guy, man, he finishing. He finishing off of 1 foot, falling back, shooting a 16-footer.
Well, and that was one thing we brought up talking about last year too, is Jokic having Aaron Gordon in that dunker spot. That was one thing the Celtics could not stop last year. Like, you can look at their dominance with every single team, but the one team that gave the Celtics trouble because of Jokic was the Nuggets. And that was, I mean, that dunker spot with Aaron Gordon was just ridiculous, just watching those games.
It's coming out of nowhere. Putbacks, alley-oops is just – they're the only team to beat the Celtics twice in the year, and the Celtics went the whole season without losing more than 2 consecutive games. So it shows you their dominance. And I think people are starting to realize in hindsight how dominant this team was, and they're starting to realize how good they were. And the Nuggets beat them twice. Like, they just matched up well with them. And the Nuggets are a very disciplined team. They're very well coached. And I just think as well coached as the Celtics are too, that's just the only team I could see really, if anything, beating them. I think that's the only team I could see beating them in a 7-game series.
Here's my problem, man. I'm old school, man. And forgive me, brother, Hondo and Alan. I'm going to get old school on y'all right now, okay?
All right, let's hear it.
I played in an era where in practice, I'm going up against Kevin Willis and Andrew Lang with the Atlanta Hawks, right? We go on the road. The first game in Phoenix, I'm playing against Charles Barkley, and that crew that they had.
Yeah.
Then we go from there, then we go down and we play the Clippers. So you come back up from that. You got a couple of days off. Then you got the Knicks coming. I mean, the New Jersey Nets coming to town. So you got Big Derek Coleman and you got that crew, right?
Yeah.
It's one thing you learn that a lot of teams lack right now, and I love Boston, but I watched that game when they lost to Denver, and it wasn't that Denver was better than them. It's that they were doing this. Whoever shot the ball, the number one thing you're taught is to box your man out. If I box my man out, he got to go over me to get the ball. Gordon can't get them putbacks if I put a body on him. If I put a body on him, he can get some because he's going to have to, fight. He'll get a loose rebound here or there, and you're going to have some lapses. And when you have a team like Boston that switches everything, they switch everything. You're going to have some mismatches because your guards aren't going to be the people that say, "Hey, I'm gonna put my rear end on his knees so he can't go. I'm gonna push him out." You look at Gordon's putbacks and his dunk. He wasn't dunking over big guys. He wasn't dunking over Aubrey. He wasn't dunking over KP.
It was over Derek White, yeah.
So I mean, Derek is looking at him like, "Come on, bro, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get some run here, and you dunking on me, messing with my clock, man." But people look at it and they go, "Well, the Nuggets caught them twice." What the Nuggets did is they had a coach smart enough to say, "Hey, we're gonna run the pick and roll. They're gonna switch out on Jokovic. When they switch out on Jokovic, that means they got a guard over here on the wing because in today's game, we don't have a dominant post player like we used to with Patrick and Shaq, B. Robinson, all those guys. Now you look at the game, you got 5 players standing out there on the perimeter. So if you find a team that's got somebody that's good at slashing, getting putbacks and stuff like that, and then you throw in somebody like Jokovic, who he reminds me of like a Stacey Augmon. His game is so unorthodox, it's hard to guard him because he could be dribbling and he dribbling like Aunt Jemima's syrup pour, but in the middle of a dribble, he might pull up and raise up and shoot on you, and he in mid stride to dribble and he gonna pull up. That's just how
Or
that European game is.
or throw it behind the back, man. That guy's a phenomenal passer.
He's
I mean,
just
he has got confidence, man. That kid has got confidence. Anytime you play, you come from another country. It's like being in your neighborhood or your high school. If you're in high
Mhm.
school and you go to another school and you all of a sudden coach puts you on a roll that you haven't been in and you throw a flash one behind your back or you cross them over and pull up and hit the piece. Now the next game, they're gonna be looking for that. But you're gonna go down in
Mhm.
the hole and you're gonna work them over. Now they're looking
Mhm.
at you as a multi-threat.
Mhm.
What are you gonna do? If the guy backs off you, you shoot it. If he come up on you, you go to the hole and you create. That's what Djokovic does, man, and he does it really well. The thing I hate is I hate the guys that shoot the ball and their feet are still on the floor. That doesn't make sense to me, man. I don't know how that brother does that, man. It's like he can't jump over a sheet of paper, but he getting and one, and everybody looking around like I didn't touch him. It's because
Yeah.
when he dribble, it's like an octopus, man. He got 6 extra hands out there where he's using, but you can't figure his game out, man. It's crazy to
Mhm.
watch him,
and
But again,
he does this all at 50% and thinking about
Yeah.
his horses at home.
Yeah.
well,
The
I
And
guy
mean, go
he
ahead,
just
go ahead,
he
Hunter.
just it's just like he's just clocking into his 9 to 5, and just getting the day over with, and he just
Hey,
casually drops
yeah.
triple doubles, man.
Yeah.
It's
hey, listen,
ridiculous.
he remind me of a guy that I played with I played in the city of Torun in Poland, and his name was Chris, and he was like 6'11", man, and he was stocky and strong. His brother used to go. We had practice on Friday. He would go
Mhm.
to the bar after practice, and he would be in there drinking all night. He would come to the game on Saturday afternoon from the bar. I said, Chris, where you been? Oh man, I drink a lot, Rick. I drink. And I'm like, I said, Coach, what the hell is this? He's drinking all night. He said, oh, he'll be all right. And no lie, the brother go out there and get 22 and 11, man. And I'm sitting here going, hi, man. I said, Chris, check this out, man. You got 22 and 11 and you drunk. Just imagine if you were sober. Didn't work, man. The brother came sober and he was fighting everybody, kicking, and I was like, oh, it's crazy. But Djokovic, man, honestly, when I look at him, you look at him, you're like, he don't have the physicality, he don't have the body for it. You're like, man, his brother looked like he laboring, but he putting in work, man. He been
Yeah.
doing it for so long. He putting in work. It's crazy to watch it, but exciting at the same time. I will say this: who do you think, with the additions that were made this summer, give you guys the biggest threat to take the number 1 seed from y'all going into the playoffs, the home court? Because that, to me,
um
that's where you guys get the advantage, because now towards the end of the season, when you know you got that
Well,
number 1 seed locked up, they're able to rest more guys. You know what I'm saying? And y'all already got a crew, man.
here's the thing. It's gonna depend on how bad they want the home court advantage towards the
Okay.
end, honestly.
Okay.
So like
Mhm.
this year, they were so far ahead of everyone that they
Yeah.
didn't even have to worry about it.
mhm.
If they go in with that same mindset, like, hey, let's just start getting ahead of everyone like we were last year. Let's just beat down
Mhm.
on them. That way, towards the end of the season, we can rest up and get ready for the playoffs, get right.
Right.
But if it becomes a dogfight, I don't think they'd be afraid to let like a Philly or a Milwaukee get in front of them and take that home court advantage. Now, would it be smart? I don't know. Actually, no, I think it'd be okay because the Celtics this year and the past years have not really played well at home in the playoffs. They've
Mhm.
gotten
Mhm.
it done when they needed to, but I I don't I think they're at the point where they don't really care. They just know they're going to get the job done. But
Right.
I think it'd be a Knicks or a Sixers team, honestly, that would be competing for that 1 seed. I think they got the most hype, and rightfully so, but I think
Mhm.
they got the most hype behind them for this year to go and get that 1 seed and prove that, hey, we're going to compete with Boston this year.
Yeah, and I think the Knicks got the best shot to take it. And it's a warning though about not getting home court. Is a few years ago when the Bucks sat their guys to lose, so they didn't have to face the Nets in just an elimination game, or like when they were the 7 seed. and the Celtics ended up handling business, swept them, and then when they played the Bucks, they had a home court advantage. When they got down 3-2, they won Game 6, and then Game 7 they were at home in Boston, and that changed everything for them. And so I think they learned their lesson as far as even on the other side about, you don't want to play with fire in that sense. And so I think if they can, they will handle business. But I think I could see a team like the Knicks, as much minutes as those guys get throughout the season, I could see those guys with Mikal Bridges, and having longevity and the character of those guys on the team. I could easily see them taking a 1 seed. But once playoffs come, a whole different animal though.
And I know that there's hype behind the Villanova boys, but if Julius Randle can stay healthy, that's going to be huge for the Knicks as well. I mean, I think he was averaging 20 and 10 before he got hurt, That would be huge for him.
Yeah. Well, in my opinion, I look at it from a standpoint of like, and I have another question that I want to ask y'all that I've been wanting to ask him, but I've been waiting. I'll ask that first. Do you think with this crew that you guys have in Boston, they have the chance to break the most wins in a season?
Oh.
You think they have a chance to get that record?
I think, let me say this. Because my biggest question right now is Porzingis, how is he going to be feeling by the start of next year? Is he going to be playing? Is he going to be sitting? Is he not going to have no training camp? So is he going to be rusty? And another thing is with these guys, like Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, they're not even in their prime yet. These guys are only going to get better throughout the next few years. And that's crazy to think about, but they are that's what's scary about it, and I think with those guys only getting better and hitting the next level, which I expect them to do because it's rare to find guys that young, but with that work ethic and that hunger to be that great. And a little pissed off going into next year, which you don't see out of defending champions.
I think
but
so
they both
too.
have some motivation.
I think this is going to be the one NBA champion that you're going to see with the biggest chip on their shoulder.
Yep. So it's like a thank you to Steve Kerr, it's a thank you because you don't see that.
Yeah, and I think, looking at it, it definitely can be something that both Jason and Jaylen can use to fuel their fire and stuff like that. But here's the thing. They don't really need that, to be honest, because when you're the champion, you got a bullseye on your back anyway. Everybody's gearing up to play you. So I don't really think they need that. I think that what they need to do is they just need to focus on getting those players that aren't used to playing the minutes in crucial times that they have, used to doing that. Because you're going to come to a time where Jason's going to struggle, and we've seen it. Jaylen creates a lot of his own baskets and stuff like that. To me, he's like one of the few defenders that I've seen that he might score, dunk it, but he's going to pick up right here in the end. He's going to pick up in the end. He stayed with his man. He stayed focused the whole game. But both of them are young. Neither one of them really have had to deal with playing well and then dealing with injuries, things that are nagging. And then the team kind of, the camaraderie falls off a little bit. You might get people pointing the finger. You never know what can happen. All it takes is one reporter to say, well, we think Jason can play, he's not hurt that bad. All you got to do, they said he's this and that. That gets in Jason's head, but he's trying to push through and the injury gets worse. So the worst thing I think you guys have, the worst problem I think y'all have in your future, and I hope it never comes down to this, who takes the game-winning shot between Jason and Jaylen? If you're down by, who takes
to me,
that shot? Who do you run the play for?
I mean, that's easy.
To me, it's Derek White. I mean, Tatum is not clutch. I love the guy, but he's not. Jaylen Brown has had a lot of clutch shots. You saw against the Pacers.
So
but
I'm not going to say
super clutch.
I'm not going to say JT's not clutch. I am going to say he's not clutch in last second shots.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because in the 2 minutes, I mean, you go look at Game 7 of 2 years ago against Philly.
Yeah.
Tied game.
He was clutch. I mean, he was clutch.
And then you go back Game 6 against Milwaukee in Milwaukee. Right. He took that game over.
But,
he's had these moments. But game-winning shots, I mean, I'm picking Jaylen Brown. He's proved it. Game 3 of the finals this year, momentum swinging. Mavs are about to take one at home. They're gonna get back in it, and Jalen just goes down and hits a jumper midi, and we keep that lead and extend it. Next thing you know, we're up 3-0. We take it back. Was it 3-0? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm picking Jalen. But hey, Big Rick, I'm gonna have to disagree with all the adversity talk that you were bringing up, and here's
Hmm.
why. Here's
Okay,
why.
I'm listening, Hondo.
You
I am
you
listening,
you
bro.
listen to all these big media outlets, and granted, they're there to make
Hmm.
people get mad, with their opinions. But since the Jays have been together, all of we've ever heard was they can't win together.
Yeah.
You know,
Whole careers.
um, getting fingers pointed at. I mean, when we had Kyrie, that was a disaster year. I think now, honestly, they've been through everything together. They've been through the ups of being a really good team, a number one seed, and losing to the Miami Heat, an 8 seed.
Hmm.
Went on a Cinderella run, lost. You lose to an aging Warriors team in the finals. Hey, you get there, you know what it tastes like to get there. All right, let's do it again.
Mhm.
And now they're champs. They've been through the adversity. They've proven people wrong. As far as us saying they've got a chip on their shoulder, even after them winning a chip, I mean, people still disrespect Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown.
But
People
let me
say it
ask you
was
this: you said okay, and I agree with everything you said. There are media outlets and stuff, and they make the media negativity sells. We all three know that,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Hmm.
Controversy sells. But let me ask you this: what happens when Jason Tatum goes back to Boston, beginning of the season? One of the reporters starts talking about you know winning a gold medal. And then somebody in a room full of reporters says, well, how do you feel about your playing time that you got? It looked like you weren't getting much playing time. And then they go around and they ask over here at this podium, they ask
Oh, yeah.
Jalen Brown, you know what? How was your summer? Oh, it was great. How do you feel? Good. You look good. You look good out there. And then one of the reporters said, well, how do you feel about getting left off the Olympic team? Those two
Yeah.
reporters just brought some tension into your organization because what it depends on is not what happened, it depends on how they respond to that question.
Yeah.
That's what creates the issue. And that's what
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to say. Not that they would do that. It's the outside. If they're strong enough and their nucleus, like Jason and Jalen are the captains of the team, is the way I see it. If they're strong enough collectively to keep all that negativity outside of the team, nothing can shake them. And the amount of championships they can win, the sky's the limit, man. The sky's the
Yep.
limit
Hmm.
because of their age. I'll give you that. But all three of us sitting here knows always something that creeps up when you least expect it. When things are going good in the organization, it usually starts with a question either about somebody's character, what they did, what happened, something. It's always a question that pops up. And usually
Yeah.
the answer to that question is what creates the adversity.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie to you,
And
Big Rick,
and
either. Oh, go ahead,
and
Alan. Go ahead.
I'll just say because I want to wrap up NBA before so we can talk a little NFL before we end this episode. But I just
Okay.
want to say these young guys, for as young as they are, they're in a very like special situation because not many guys will have the experience of all the things they've been through at this
Mhm.
age before entering their prime and
Right.
overcoming those things. So I think to see all that behind them and them grow closer, and it's been really cool, because Jalen Brown didn't ever get the credit, and now he won Eastern Conference MVP, Finals MVP. So it's like it's really cool just to. I think they've conquered so much, and I think they'll be ready for whatever comes next. People trying to break them up, trade rumors and stuff. So, but I just want to say the cover of this episode is going to have to be that meme of Isaiah Thomas saying, I met all the criteria, but I was not selected.
Hey, I will say this though: if you want to question how confident I am in where the Celtics go this year, I placed a parlay as soon as we won the championship that we're going back to back. As soon as we won, so hey,
Hey, brother,
that's how confident I am in this team. Honestly,
I I don't disagree with you with y'all going back to back. I don't disagree with you having the most talent in the league. And uh, in my opinion, after the adversity y'all went through with the coach, and then responding the way they did. I say this: you got the nucleus. But here's a question: when is Jalen up for renegotiation on his contract?
He just
Like
got
3 years.
extended last offseason.
Yeah,
So
he just
So
got
he did.
extended.
So he got extended
yeah,
for 3 years. Okay,
yes,
so
sir.
he's
Him
taking
and
care of
Everybody's
JT are the two top paid players in the
of all time.
NBA. Yep.
Yeah, and the last everybody on the like of their core of their top six is signed into next year too as well. So like I think
Okay.
Porzingis is probably the only one they need to worry about extending, which they'll do that. But to all right, to wrap up the NBA, that was a great discussion. We could go on all day about that. But let's get into the NFL, one of your teams, Hondo, because we're talking powerhouses of the NFC.
I
There's
was
a
Let me
lot
gonna
of
tell
say
you.
questions
that.
going on.
Let me
I
guess.
was,
Are you a 49ers fan, man?
no. I hate the
Oh,
49ers.
Ooh.
okay.
But they've
I was
got
about to
our
say,
number.
dog, man. What are you
But they
doing? You taking all the championships? What are you, Kansas City too?
they got our number though, man. I've seen it live. I've seen it at home. They've got our number. I'm a Cowboys fan, man. Cowboys till I die, man.
Uh, brother, you know what? Listen. Um, in my opinion, right, wrong, and indifferent, I think that a lot of times. Okay, first let me say it this way: there's no shortage of talent on the Cowboys team on your roster.
Never
There's no
is.
shortage of talent. I think the problem is somewhere along the lines, Jerry Jones has got to give up some of the power and stuff that he has and allow the people in the positions he's paying them for to do their job. And if they can't do that, instead of him trying to be coach, VP, this and that and the other, I won't draft this person. We're not bringing in no free agents. I'm drafting. You know what? Hey, man, you know what? That might have worked in the 90s. But the last time I checked, y'all won a championship. Then y'all lost to the 49ers. And y'all went and got that little skinny dude wearing number 21 and y'all won a championship. So,
Hey, you're preaching to the choir, man. I've been preaching. Jerry Jones has got to go. The thing is, once Jerry Jones goes, Stephen Jones is right there to pick up.
yeah,
Yep.
he's probably the one that's making the decision, just telling dad what to do, to be honest.
I will say this though, Will McClay, that man
Mhm.
don't miss in the draft. I
No,
don't know. He is a guru, man.
but listen, when is the last time y'all had a draft bust? Think about it, a draft bust. When the last time y'all had a draft bust? Someone he drafted that failed. Name one person he drafted that was a bust.
It's hard to say. I'd say last
You
year
can't.
Mozzie Smith, but even then, it's hard for a D tackle to really like pick up
Yeah, it's not
the
going to show up on
game.
the stat sheet.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you look at what he did, he might not have had a lot of tackle, but what they brought him in for was to draw double teams so that other guys can make the
Micah
tackle and
Parsons.
end up in one-on-one one situations. So, if I got Micah Parsons and putting him and bringing him off as an edge rusher, it's like, dear God, you know what I'm saying? That's unfair. They need to give the offensive tackle a head start, and they still can't block the brother. You know what I mean? And then you got, in my opinion, I think either let me say it this way: I love DeMarcus Lawrence, but I think that at this stage in his career, he's, in my opinion, I don't think he's that great of an edge rusher anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's more of a defensive tackle, or because he can use his quickness and his length and his strength to get between the guard and the tackle. In my opinion, I don't think
slowed
he
down a
has.
lot.
I
He
don't
doesn't
think
have
he's
that kick to
I
get
don't
around
think
the
he's
edge.
a disruptive force that he used to be, but I
Right.
think he's more of a technical defensive end. He's really great with run stops and stuff like that. Like
Right.
he's good with the stuff that doesn't show up in the stat sheet. He leaves that stuff to Micah Parsons. I will say this though. The thing we were missing last year that I've been seeing in camp this year is middle linebackers.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some really decent linebackers coming in. Overshawn, he didn't play last year, but he played for Texas. He
Mm-hmm.
tore his ACL. He's been showing up. We've got a Notre Dame linebacker that came in. He's been playing well, and I think Mike Zimmer is going to be really good for the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
One, because he actually uses linebackers and not 215-pound safeties as linebackers that go
Zimmer's
stop the
great.
run. I think he's gonna have that defense ready. The main
Mhm.
concern I do have is our offensive line and our run game. Honestly, shoot,
Have
even
you?
our wide
Paul,
receivers. I mean, I
Pollard's
think
gone.
Dak.
CD Lamb.
I think Dak's gonna have a good year. They're gonna rely on him a lot, but it's gonna matter on how fast we can get CDs back. Because if it's
Yeah.
just Brandon Cooks and everybody else, I think we're in trouble.
Hey, brother, I want to make sure I can see you, man. Did you just say that you guys are going to start leaning on Dak Prescott? What
I
have y'all
mean, we
been doing the
have
last few years, man? Who you been leaning on?
that
It ain't
defense.
Ezekiel because he's been up in New England.
Look, don't get me wrong. I will fight. I will hold my sword. I'm the last swordsman to fight that fight for Dak. He got robbed of an MVP last year. I will say that. But I think this is the year he's going to go out and prove to Jerry, hey, give me my 60 mil or I'm out.
Listen, let me tell you something. Jerry Jones looked at Dak Prescott as soon as he signed his last deal. You know what he said to him? Do you remember what he
What do you
said?
say?
It was in the
What do you
news.
say?
He said, "You
I
know I
don't remember.
overpaid you, right?" He looked at him and told him after he signed that deal, he said, "You know I overpaid you, right?" In front of everybody. What do you think
Damn.
that did for? What do you think that did in front of all the reporters? Jerry Jones laughed when Dak signed his deal and said, "Well, you know I overpaid you, right?"
I do remember him saying that.
And so, I mean, what do you think that does to Dak's confidence? I mean, don't get me wrong. In my opinion, Dak he's the difference maker for your team, but he's the difference maker in one or two ways. He has the body that he can run the ball, but since he hurt his ankle, he don't run them. He run a little bit.
Yep.
He run when he have to, and when he have to, it ain't pretty because it's scary. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, it is because you don't know if the brother gonna get hurt or not, man. Now, how is it that Prescott plays MVP football the first half of the season, and the second half of the season, he plays like he's a 6th-round draft pick? And when I say that, it's decision making the decisions he's making. Nothing against his athletic ability and his arm strength. It's his decision making. It's like, bro, you're playing against the same teams that you were playing in, and they're just coming at you harder right now.
Yeah.
But what are what are you gonna do? When are you gonna step up and say, okay, this is my team?
I will say this,
What,
though. I will say this. So obviously it's a young man's game, right?
mhm.
Outside of one position, and that's quarterback. All right.
Mhm.
And I say that because let me ask you guys this. When did Tom Brady win his first MVP? What age? Do you guys know?
I would guess
Let me see.
28.
No, he won his first league MVP.
Yeah.
So it
He
had to have been
won
like
it.
07, right?
No, I think it was
Because
2014.
I don't know the
you bring
year,
up a
but
stat you don't
I
know.
know the age. He was
How old are you?
31. He was 31 when he won his
Okay.
MVP.
Let me find out.
I think Rogers was probably around the same age when he won his. You know, I think
That's my
Dak's
team,
enter.
man. Don't you start talking about my Patriots, okay? Let me tell you something.
Hey, I'm just saying.
We're
I think Dak's entering his prime. I
Yeah.
think
And
after
that
you played in the league so long, you see so many coverages. He even
mhm.
said it in an interview last year. He's finally seen things he hasn't seen before. It's starting to click
Yeah.
for him.
And I'll give it to him because he's cut down on the turnovers. His decision making has gotten better steadily every year. And I think it's just a matter of getting guys around him, man. Because like they finally had a run game, and then they couldn't score in the red zone because they got rid of Zeke. And then now this year, it's like Tony Pollard's gone, and now you haven't extended CD Lamb. And how much of this blame realistically can you put on Dak if you're not going to get these guys back and get them some help around there? You know what I mean? Like if they
Hey,
don't re-sign those guys back, then you can't put that blame on him this year. I
hey,
think it
but
is a big time prove it year though.
but according to that man Jerry, the Cowboys are all in, baby.
Yeah.
They're all in.
Or
Well,
as Skip
the web says
Skip
that
Bayless
Tom
said it.
Brady
Is it
was
Skip?
24 years old when he won his first MVP,
Huh?
Yeah.
2001. The internet says he was 24 years
So
old.
was I wrong? I was dead wrong. I'm
That no,
sorry.
that was the Super Bowl MVP though, because he didn't win league
Well-
MVP. That year was Kurt Warner. But what did Skip Bayless say? He tweeted all in my ass.
Yeah, he
Is
said
that what he tweeted or he
all
said
in
it?
my ass. Yeah, no, that's what he tweeted. He tweeted that.
All-time tweet. But no, I also wanted to get to, because while we're talking NFC, well, the last topic we'll touch on, because next episode that we have going into next week, we'll talk more NFL. We'll give a whole episode of that. But before we go, I wanted to talk 49ers, another big time team, and whispers going around right now with Brandon Ayuk, who became the number 1 receiver last year when Debo got hurt. He's up for a new contract. He hasn't shown up, and he's now declaring he wants a trade. So with this being said, and you haven't paid Brock Purdy yet, your quarterback, so a lot of NFL teams, that's your window. Once your quarterback gets paid, who knows what you're going to be able to afford, what you're going to be. So with that being said, they're going to have to pay Purdy. Ayuk is on the way out. Deebo Samuel, not always healthy. McCaffrey's hurt right now. Nothing serious. Realistically,
Another person no one's
is their
talking
window
about
is their window closing?
I think they got this year or next. I think next year would be their final year. Another person no one's talking about is Trent Williams. He's not at camp right now. He's holding out.
Wow, best lineman in the league right there.
Yeah. He's holding out right now too,
If you don't have Big Trent, Purdy ain't gonna have
Yeah.
much time to throw the rock, man.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he's the blindside tackle, right?
Well,
Yep.
and Debo ain't getting what he's getting because Trent Williams on a lot of lead blocks right there. A lot of trap pulling left
And
tackle traps.
They overpaid Debo looking back. They paid him that much. He's already had injury issues, but all around, is he worth all that money that you could be giving to Ayuk, who's a true number 1 receiver, who stayed healthy? Like, you got to ask that question.
You got to look at it this way. I think you have to play devil's advocate in that role, okay? Let's say you decide you don't want to pay Debo that money. Say they didn't pay Debo. Is Debo still on the team? Is he still there?
No, Debo would be gone, but at this point,
Gone.
I'd rather have Ayuk than Debo. That's what I'm trying to say.
But my thing is like, there's Debo. In my opinion, Debo opens a lot of doors for Christian McCaffrey to be successful because they run. If you watch a lot of their offensive plays, they'll take Christian McCaffrey and put him in motion. So now you got a linebacker on him, right? And then they put Debo and shift him into the backfield, and you could use him as a running back.
That's what
you can't really do that with Brandon. You can do it in certain situations, but the disadvantages that both of them create, the mismatches that they create for other defenses, what make them so special.
And I honestly
I love it. I love it. But if the questions are always about Debo's health, then what good is all this, motion and having him out there as running back if he's not even healthy enough to play? You know what I mean? That's my thing. Is the biggest thing with injuries. I don't want to take that chance paying that much to a guy who's had such a history with injuries and plays so physical. The likelihood of him getting re-injured is very high.
I don't know. I just feel like Debo and Christian McCaffrey are the reason Brandon Ayuk has done what he's done.
You can make an argument for that.
No, Hondo, I agree with you because if I am a defensive coordinator on my board, I got stars around Debo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And if let's say this, take the San Francisco 49ers and you take away Christian McCaffrey and you take away Debo Samuel, does Brandon Ayuk still have the same year he had?
I mean, I don't know if he does, but even if you take him away, we're not even thinking about that guy, George Kittle. They've got
listen, they had George Kittle. What was it, a year ago? George Kittle, he blocked more than he ran routes.
That's true.
Because I mean, if you think about it, when Purdy first took over the quarterback reins, man, it didn't look too good. He came in and he played well, but it took him a lot longer to find his receiver. So he needed more. Yeah. So George Kittle stayed in and blocked, And then, once Christian established the run game and now you got Debo coming in, to me, do you give them a championship if everybody's healthy? I say no, because they always play great during the regular season. It's the playoffs when they have their issues. That's when, in my opinion, that's when they have their problem.
Honestly, it's not even the playoffs that's their issue. It's that bad man down in Kansas City that's their issue.
That Super Bowl.
Man, listen,
but I think we may be talking differently though if Dre Greenlaw didn't get hurt. You know, if they're such a piece like that. I mean, I hate Dre Greenlaw because I feel like he plays dirty, but he is phenomenal.
That defense was playing out of their minds when Dre Greenlaw was in there.
Yeah. So
after he got hurt, it opened it up.
Yeah. Well, let's close out with this though.
Hold on. Let me say one more thing.
You go ahead, Big Rick. Go ahead.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, they had Dre Greenlaw when that man from Kansas City came to town, didn't they? Didn't they have him when that man from Kansas City came to town? What is his name? Patrick, my homeboy, came to town. What did he do?
The first time or the second time?
If you take your pick, young man. Take your pick. It don't matter, brother. Because that boy from Kansas City said, listen, let me tell you something. I can throw it left-handed. I can throw it right-handed. It don't matter, man. As long as I can find 87, I'm good.
Yep.
That's the problem.
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
That's the problem with them.
All right, let's close out with this though. Is just this last question because I don't think we really answered it. I think you kind of did, Hondo. But is that 49ers window closing? Big Rick.
It depends. Honestly, I would say that if Brandon Ayuk leaves and the word on the street is Devontae Adams will be fulfilling his role because they've been talking trades with the Raiders, that means, brother, let me tell you. So if he comes to town, it's a whole different story. Because if Devontae Adams come to town, as Bernie Mac said in Players Club, it's gonna be trouble.
Yeah, absolutely right. And
but if they don't, I think that window is closing. It is closing.
Like I said, I think they've got 2 years. I think if they don't get it done this year, this is probably going to be the year they have their best chance. But even then, I think the Lions are going to be a dark horse this year to beat them. I mean, they almost beat them in San Fran this past year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they had a couple questionable fourth down calls. Man, I don't. You know what? I'm gonna save that for the next time. I don't even want to get in with the Packers. All right. Yeah.
Let's save this because wrapping this up right here because we've had quite a long episode and it's been great talking with y'all. But we got a lot of exciting football talk to come. We're gonna talk next week. We're gonna do a little QB rankings, some power rankings, dark horse picks to make a run in the playoffs, and it's going to be a real exciting episode, and I can't wait to do it with you guys if you guys are able to come back. But
I'm excited. But here's something I'd like to throw into that mix for you guys to think about. Let's talk that college football too. Let's talk college football.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's do it.
Horns up. Horns up.
Yes, sir.
Roll Tide.
But all right, guys.
Pleasure. I look forward to doing it again, man.
Yes, sir. I just want to thank you guys for joining me, man.
Hey,
see y'all next week.
Always glad to be here.
Oh.